So I keep asking myself this question, what came first, the chicken or the egg? It sounds like a stupid question, but I think it's actually really important. Because you're telling me that chicken somehow evolved over millions of years from a single cell organism to what? A chicken that magically evolved to lay eggs? How long will that have taken? How is that even possible? So the chicken starts off as a single cell organism, keeps evolving, eventually develops a new reproductive system, and then as the reproductive system's evolving, this makes no sense. So it's the biggest question actually ever. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And it's a question I ask myself within regards to reality. You know, a big question I've been asking is when was reality created? Because there's all sorts of differing narratives. There's these people that say, well, 3.5 billion years ago on Earth, 7.5 billion years ago in the universe. My numbers may be incorrect, but that's more or less what they say. So my question is, how do they know that? What, you carbon dated the universe? You carbon dated light sources from apparently light years away, billions of years away. You have to remember that all of the stuff they tell us is all theoretical, according to them. It's all theoretical. It's not actually proven. Yet everyone believes it as though it's proven. But you just do a little bit more digging, you find out it's all theoretical. These are all theories. Big Bang Theory. It's literally in the name. It's theoretical. So why are we using theories as though they're the absolute gospel? And the biggest question you got to ask yourself is what came first, the chicken or the egg? And when did reality start? And my next question is, does reality have to have a beginning? This is where we get to alpha, omega, alpha. Endless beginning, omega. Endless ending. No beginning, no end. So my question is, like, where did reality begin then? And another question I have is, when reality began, is there a potentiality that at whatever point reality started, that the past could have been created? And simultaneously the future? I mean, how do we know reality started in the beginning? What if it started in the middle? And all reality emanated out from that point. You know, they say life begins at conception. There might be some truth to that. The thing is, we have no way of proving any of this stuff. As I've explained, it's all theoretical. But it's still a good question to ask yourself, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I've been looking at reality for a long time now. Looking at time, the perception of duration, and light waves and so forth and so on. Time dilation, distortion waves, time relativity. Time flies for different speeds for different conscious individuals. People can perceive time either moving fast or slower. They say time flies when you're having fun. When you're bored, apparently time sits still. So if you're having fun and I'm bored, time's technically moving faster for you. Well, then that becomes strange. But remember, time relativity is also theoretical, even though it came from Einstein. It's theoretical. It's a great theory, guess is to think about some interesting, simple observations that we may have. But there's so many unanswered questions in reality, and I think humans, in order to give themselves sanity, had come up with these theories and have adopted them as true, as the gospel truth, when the truth is they're unprovable, they're all theoretical. So where did time begin? How old is Earth? How old is the universe? Maybe it's younger than we think. Maybe we're looking at time all wrong. Why do we feel that time needs to have a beginning and that time can only project forward? How do we know that time can't project backwards? We look at some of the Mandela effects that are taking place. We see that our past changes, or at least people's memories of it changes. If that is true, that means that our past is in a current state of fluctuation. Almost like a dream, I suppose, where all of a sudden you're in a different mood within the dream, and the evidence that you might find in the dream that may be evidence of the past may change. Because it's a dream, everything's subjected towards change. Could it be that our human consciousness is evolving so much? And when I say evolving, I mean through awareness. The only way consciousness evolves is through increased awareness. Increased awareness of yourself, your thoughts, your reasonings, your internal emotions, the subtle energies around you, and all the nuances that life presents. We become more and more aware. When we start off as a child, we're less aware, and when we grow older, hopefully and most probably, you're gaining more and more awareness, more and more knowledge, more and more experience, more and more memories. Some people actually lose awareness when they grow older. Some people gain it. I think it purely depends on those that are using their brains and those that aren't. Those that are continuing to stay asleep and be docile towards all these microcosmic energetic interactions happening internally and externally, ultimately becoming deaf, dumb, and mute towards your situations and information that surround you in your life. You become mute. You have no intuition. Your intuition doesn't work. You are unintuitive or unempathetic towards people's feelings, and these are people that may not see the underlying reasons for a lot of the things that take place within their life because they're not that aware. But when you start to become more aware, well, you start to become more aware of all sorts of reasonings, all sorts of underlying potentialities. You start to figure out life a bit more. Life seems to have a pattern somehow or another, and we're either recreating that pattern every single day in our life or we're changing it. And we're on Earth, and all the answers that we have are all theoretical. So as humans, there's a lot of stuff within regards to identity politics these days. Is this a male or female? What's the story? It's like, it confuses me because humans haven't even figured out their own existential identity, the identity that their existence is based upon. Like, how can you, when we haven't figured out like who we are, where we've come from, what is this? Where does this lead? There's too many unanswered questions and not enough people looking for them. And as a substitute towards these unanswered questions, theories have been provided to, I suppose, help humans feel a bit more calmer with their disposition, gaining some sort of knowledge of what it is they think reality is, but they're all based on theories. Whether you're into science or not, you hear these theories in pop culture references every day. They affect the human mind on one level or another. Maybe unless we actually figure out what we are, who we are, what this is, until then, humans will always face the existential crisis. If we don't know answers to so many big, unanswered, and super duper important questions that involve our origination of our existence, how can we have an identity? Earth is in an identity crisis. That's why we have identity politics, because us as a species of human, if we're even human, we don't even know who or what we are. We don't even know how to conduct ourselves or how to behave within ourselves to provide an ongoing sustainable state of happiness within inside of ourselves, therefore creating a state of insufficiency within inside of ourselves, existential crisis of questioning one's own identity within a culture which could lead towards identity politics. People coming up with all sorts of narratives and dialogues and discourse surrounding their identification, what it is that they identify as. But at the end of the day, we've got a whole bunch of madmen who have no identity, who are trying to find their identity, and creating a whole big thing around this confusion around one's own identity. Male, woman, this, that. And we haven't even figured out what it means to be human yet. And maybe that's why we're so confused. I'm not confused, I'm quite clear, but there's a lot of people out there that are quite confused. And they're willing to die for those ideologies. They're willing to cause trouble for those ideologies. And then the scary part is that when enough humans come about and start saying something's true, well, humans are dummies for peer pressure. They're suckers for peer pressure. What you've got is earth full of humans who are busy indoctrinating themselves. No one's indoctrinating them, they're indoctrinating themselves. I mean, yeah, sure, the media and the situation at hand may have played a big role in our indoctrination, but at this point, people are pretty much open-handedly indoctrinating themselves. So this is why I asked a simple little question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? I can't answer that question for you, but I think asking it is probably not a bad idea. It gets your brain jogging, gets your brain working, increases your awareness, creates new neural pathways. It starts to get you to become your own problem solver within regards to figuring out the most important questions that everyone needs to figure out. And if they don't, Earth and humanity on it will continue to have a never-ending existential crisis and identity crisis for as long as time exists. So maybe that's it. Maybe we're all having an identity crisis. I mean, I've had my identity crises. I still don't know my identity. You know what I mean? Like, I know my name is Jesse, I know I come from here, I know I come from there, but the more my awareness increases, it increases to the fact that, well, some mystical, magical things start happening, and the more your awareness increases, the more it is that you're able to see that you're never able to see before, because you're now aware of the subtleties and nuances and the multidimensional nature of reality that presents him. And the more aware you become, the more questionable you become towards your own identity, because what it means to be you is not changed, it's evolved. And I guess that's the one good thing about humans, is that our awareness and our consciousness, whether to our detriment or to our glory, changes, cycles, evolves. And we gain more and more awareness, whether it's awareness of lies, awareness of anything. But the point is, you gain more awareness. That's why I try not to rely too much on the news for information or books for information. I mean, I was an avid researcher until I started finding out that unfortunately most of the stuff that's out there is just based on deception and lies and is unprovable. And I'm not going to take what people give me and be like, I'm happy with that explanation. Because the moment you're happy with any explanation is the moment you stop growing. You stop becoming aware. You stop asking questions. And we need to keep asking questions. Sometimes those questions are pretty damn uncomfortable. We need to keep gaining more and more awareness and perspective towards what it means to be you, what it means to be on this earth, what it means to be other people. It affects all of us. We live in a very violent world because all of these questions haven't been answered. And for as long as they're not answered, a general state of tension and unease will continue to cloud the air that we breathe. We need to answer those questions. Some might say, I've answered a lot of questions by myself. Sometimes the more questions I get answered, the more questions I have here. But nonetheless, I still gain more awareness. And I work towards searching instead of proclaiming. Because based on what I've seen, reality is far more than what I've been taught it is. And I've learned to perceive that with my increased level of awareness that has introduced some sort of multidimensional context of reality towards me that is now changing my experience of reality. It's funny, when your awareness grows and your consciousness evolves, your experience evolves and changes as well. The two things are quite frankly interlinked and interdependent upon each other. Anyway, that's my silly little video. Which came first, chicken or the egg? It's an interesting question. What if this is a holographic thought matrix and everything just appeared in place? We won't know if we don't ask those questions. But reality definitely does seem to be holographic. And if you're wondering what that means, it means that everything is based on with light and of course darkness. And that creates a contrast and an image which we perceive, or hear, or feel, or touch, taste. Very advanced stuff, but it seems to be all based upon light frequency and energy. And, it makes us holographic because somehow our consciousness seems to be projecting our body and the reality in which it is that we're existing in. Maybe that's why it says that humans were created in God's image, because this is all the image-based consciousness projection. And through his consciousness and him having dreamed us into reality, within his projection, we are within his image. Something interesting to chew on. I don't expect people to just believe everything I'm saying, of course. The internet's a place where you hear all sorts of new stuff, and that's the point of having conversation and communication and dialogue, to be able to have these conversations. A lot of people don't want to have them. I think they're quite content with where life is, or maybe they're too scared of anything changing too drastically. Whatever it is, at some point it will have to end. Because if it doesn't, the state of human evolution will drag its heels for the end of oblivion. Anyway, thanks for watching this video.